W5FC. evening, everyone. It's almost time for Skynet, so if you need to use the repeater for anything before the net begins, please do that now, and we will be starting Skynet in a couple of minutes. This is Virginia in D50.
Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will gain control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Good evening. The time is 9 p.m.
Everyone, this is ND5F. My name is Virginia, and I'll be your net control for this session of the GARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign break and your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? Okay, nothing heard. This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me. And stations are reminded to ID at the end of your transmission. This weekly net operates on 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink and are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID on Echolink or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics: astronomy, charts, pictures, and live audio video links are available online. Go to www.w5fc.org right now for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. You can now check into the net electronically, and we do encourage this. It expedites our large number of check-ins. You can go to w5fc.org and look for tonight's announcement of Skynet and click on the hot link to check in. We will acknowledge you on the air, and don't worry, if you want to check in via voice, we will continue to do that too, over the air or Echolink. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. This net is 90 minutes long and is structured in several parts. We'll have general announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, where you can look through, where and when you can look through a telescope, National Space Society events, recent astronomical discoveries. Discussion topic of the evening: was up, space exploration and space history, constellation of the week, space launches of the week, visible satellite passages over the next couple of days, and some astronomical Q&A if time allows, and of course the 73 round. All amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. So we currently have the following people checked in via the electronic check-ins on w5fc.org. And that would be K5ICX, Tom in Corpus Christi, and he's checked in via All-Star Link. We have N5LIG Dale in Little Elm, Texas. We have me in D5F, Virginia, in Fort Worth. We have W5DLT Bill in Garland. We have WB5OZL Brenda in Dallas. We have AG9SG Antonio in Dallas. We have KI5BGM Travis in McKinney. We have N5DB Bill in Irving. And we have KF5JHA Chaz and Bob the Cat in the Milky Way, Sun, Soul, Planet Earth. Multiple modes, and we have NE3S Maurice and Capel. So we've got a nice group of online check-ins so far. Now let's start with our voice check-ins, starting with short time check-ins. If you are a short time check-in, please come now with your call sign, your name, and where you are transmitting from this evening.
Alpha Bravo 5, Delta Mike, Dustin in Dallas.
Kilo Bravo 5, Delta Mike, Charlie, Brian, and Roanoke, short time.
Okay, so for short time we have AB5DM, Dustin in Dallas, and KB5DMC, Brian and Roanoke. Thank you for joining us for Skynet. And next we'll just take general check-ins. So please come now if you're general check-ins. Just come now with your call sign, name, and location.
This is Whiskey Bravo 4, Mike, Foxtrot, India, WB4MFI, Ted, Dallas, low power, Notre Dame 31, Florida State 3. This is Alpha Golf 5, Papa Mike, Richard Rockwall, AG 5 p.m. This is Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James and Carrollton, KG5 WBL. This is AI5PI, Rocky and Fort Worth. This is Whiskey 5, Golf, Uniform, Sierra, Gus, far northeast Dallas. This is Kilo, Foxtrot 5, Papa, Lima, Huey, Richardson, Texas.
Okay, that's a pretty good group so far. We have WB4MFI, Ted in Dallas, and thank you for the Notre Dame, Florida score. AG5PM, Rich in Rockwall. KG5WBL, James in Carrollton. AI5BI, Rocky in Fort Worth. W5GUS, Gus in Dallas. And KF5PLL, Huey in Richardson. Do we have any more general check-ins for Skynet? This is NV5F.
This is Kilo India 5 Zulu Oscar Echo Tommy from Balsam Springs, Texas.
Okay, and I've got KI5ZOE, Tommy from Balch Springs. Thanks for checking in. So we've got a pretty good little list going with you guys and all the electronic check-ins. And let's see, now Echolink check-ins. Who all on Echolink? I see a few people there. We may have some unique people on Echolink. If you would like to check in via Echolink, please come down. Okay, nothing heard on Echolink. Looks like it's mostly people who are checked in via other means. So, let's get to open check-ins. Anyone, anywhere, you want to check in? We'll take one more call for all check-ins in B5.
KJ5, Cody Fallon. HCD, Kilo Juliet 5, Hotel Zulu Delta, All-Star Node, Brownwood, Texas. Sean.
Okay, I got K5MCD, Cody in Dallas, and then I got someone checking in via All-Star Link. I missed everything, but mostly just a little at the end of that. So maybe key down for a couple seconds and then come slowly with your call phonetically, your name and your location, please.
Kilo Juliet 5, Hotel Zulu Delta, Brownwood, Texas. Sean.
Okay, thank you, Sean. That was perfect. I got KJ5HZD. Thank you so much for checking in via All-Star Link. All right. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? These can be ham astronomical space of general interest to licensed hams. Wow, very quiet out there for announcements. I haven't seen Tony or heard him. He's usually the one with the announcements. So hopefully maybe he'll chime in a little bit. So here's some of the standard announcements. The AMSAT Radio Amateur Satellite Group has 3 nets available to Dallas residents. One, Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Central. You can check into the National AMSAT net and learn all about amateur satellites and how you can use them in amateur radio. The National AMSAT net will bring the most up-to-date information on amateur satellites currently in use or new ones that are coming online. You will need Echolink installed and be registered. You can find the net under Group and AMSAT. Also, a live radio link is available on their website, http so on and so forth, www.amsatnet.com. This net originates in Houston, Texas. There are 2 local nets also available in Dallas. Both of these nets encourage active check-ins. You can ask questions of the net control as well as the others checked in. First is the AMSAT Net East, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on this repeater, 146.88. Also 110.9 Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, Tom N5HYP is the usual net control. Caller, welcome to check in. The first Tuesday of the month is DARC Club Night, so no AMSAT East net that night. Dallas AMSAT Net West is every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on the Arlington repeater, 147.14 megahertz PL 110.9. Positive offset. And this net, of course, is every Wednesday night on the Arlington repeater. AMC also hosts a number of other nets on Monday evening at 7. We have on Monday evenings at 7. Let's see. Check the W5SC website. This coming Monday net will be. I'm trying to think which one is coming up this Monday. I can't remember which one it is. We have several really fabulous Monday nets. I think it's IMCOM 101, second Monday, yeah. IMCOM 101, Emergency Communications. Learn about emergency communications here in Dallas from several agencies, IMCOM net controls, and basic emergency procedures. If you have an interest in emergency communications and ham-assisted activities, join us at 7 p.m. this coming Monday. Everyone can check into this 1-hour net. The scheduled net control for this time around is Kevin in 5KRG. And Saturday, of course, which is tonight, is our night of net. And we keep the airwaves buzzing until midnight. We have the Tech Net at 7 p.m. and that's Q&A on all things ham radio related. There's also a swap meet, Rookie's Corner, news and information on ham radio events and contests. Skynet, which is right now 9 to 10:30, astronomy, space exploration, and related topics. Afterglow Movie Net, if you really like to stay up late, we start at 10:30 till midnight tonight. And this is, we'll talk about a fabulous movie. Will it be Hit or The Dreaded Miss? Thumbs up or thumbs down? You make the call. We watch an assigned science fiction movie, and then we review it for 90 minutes. We discuss plot, characterization, special effects, music, and answer the question, will I dare watch this movie ever again? Everyone is welcome to check in, even if you haven't seen the movie, which might actually be a plus. First and third Sundays are Dallas Amateur Radio Club meetings on the air. What's going on in your ham world? Tell us, and also learn about the club that maintains this popular repeater. Let's see, the Dallas Amateur Radio Club. Club news and information, events, activities, including club meetings, when lecture and labs will be and what the topics are, public service events, contests, and just general discussion. Everyone can join us. And that's again first and third Sundays at, I believe, 7 p.m. And then our AWL traffic nets are here on this repeater at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Learn how message traffic is handled on this formal training net. Newbies are welcome to check in, as this is a training net. NTS also conducts an evening net on the Irving WA5 DKF repeater 146.72 at 9:30 p.m. every night. All are welcome to check in on any and all of these nets. It's a great place to learn traffic handling. And now for tonight's Afterglow info. We have the movie Earthbound 1981. And let's see, I'll read this on here. I know Tom would love to read this, but I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Burl Ives could sing and play anything as long as it involved a banjo, 4 chords, Christmas music, and a bottle of whiskey. He started up the next song, which was the last song, and the song before that too. Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. Now, I don't know if there'll be snow, but I'm sure I'll have a beer. This would have been fine, except Burl was singing this song to orphans in an orphanage in June. Join us for this TV pilot turned motion picture, Earthbound 1981, tonight at 10:30 p.m. You can keep up with all DARC events, nets, and activities by going to the club website, w5sc.org. So let's check. Let's check the electronic check-ins and see if anybody else has come around, and it looks like there's no one new there. We do have K5MCD Cody, but I also checked him in over the air, so no new check-ins there. So, are there any additional check-ins for people who've come around during the announcements and would like to get on the check-ins for Skynet? This is come now into your call, your name and your location. This is NB5F. Okay, nothing heard. Maybe everybody's watching football. Next we have the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, when and where you can look through a telescope, and this is a job for Chaz. So, Chaz, KF5JHA, you get to tell us all about where to look through your telescope.
Thank you, Virginia. Welcome to being a more permanent net control. I know you've done it in the past, but I think you're now in the slot number 2, the second Saturday of the month. So, welcome. So, Slide Master, slide number 1, please. I'm watching over the Echo Link version, and you've already switched to slide already. The next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting will be held on Friday, November the 15th. That's in 6 days, and the meeting will be held at 7:30 p.m. at the University of Texas at Dallas, and also held on Zoom. The featured program is going to be a swap meet. Wow, I'm not sure how you could do that on Zoom, but you're supposed to bring your stuff and sell it if you want to at the meeting. Now, Saturday night public observing sessions continue. Skynet was picked to be on Saturday night, so there could be an opportunity for live reports from the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas public observing stations. Now, on the second Saturday of the month, that would be tonight, the stargazing is held at Frisco. Now, do we have a ham radio operator at the stargazing that would like to make a report tonight? Come down with your call sign if you are there and would like to make a report. We'll move on. And Bob the Cat says hi to everyone. So you can check out the TASS website at texasastro.org for up-to-date information and details about meetings and public observing sessions. We were supposed to have something called a ghost hunt. We talked about the Messier Marathon that happens in the spring of the year, but the ghost hunt is a similar thing. No, we don't look for ghosts. We look for faint, fuzzy things in the sky. But the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas dark site is too wet because of the recent rains to actually host the event, so that's going to be skipped this year. Oh, right. Well, we'll go back to net control. Virginia, it's all yours. NV5F.
Okay, thank you, Chaz, and thank you for welcoming me. I am happy to be here. All right, National Space Society events and activities. This is Bill N5BB, our North Texas National Space Society Vice President and Membership Director. Take it away, Bill.
Very good, Virginia. This is N5BB. I am the Vice President and Membership Director of the National Space Society, North Texas Chapter. The National Space Society is a non-profit group based in the U.S. which is interested in the exploration and development of space and the creation of a space-faring civilization. The North Texas Chapter of the National Space Society meets at 3:30 p.m. on the second Sunday afternoon of each month. The meeting location is Spring Creek Barbecue on the southwest corner of Highway 183 and Beltline Road in Irving. The next meeting will be held tomorrow, since that's the second Sunday of the month, at 3:30 p.m. Our speaker tomorrow will be TCU Professor Rhiannon Main. She's the curator of the Monic Meteorite Museum, and she plans to bring some meteorites with her. So that should be pretty interesting. Let's see. On the last Friday evening of each month, at 6 to 8 p.m., Space Society North Texas chapter sponsors a social event called Space Rendezvous. The location is Cheddar's Restaurant, 700 West Highway 635 in Irving. Anyone is welcome to attend and discuss human activities in space with us. No membership in any group is required. The next Space Rendezvous will be held the day after Thanksgiving. That's right, Friday, November the 29th at 3:30 p.m. at Cheddar's in Irving. Excuse me, 6 p.m. at 6 p.m. at Cheddar's in Irving. Our local National Space Society chapter website is ntx.nss.org. Our group also has an active Facebook page. Just search for National Space Society of North Texas. If you have any questions about National Space Society, please contact Bill in 5BB, November 5 Bravo Bravo, at the address listed on QRZ, or at space@byram.net. If you wish to attend our meeting tomorrow, you can come by the Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving at 3:30 p.m. Or if you want to via WebEx, you can email me this evening. Don't wait till the last minute, please. Email me this evening and I will send you the link so you can register for our meeting tomorrow on WebEx. That's all that I've got. This is N5BB. Back to you, Virginia.
Okay, thank you, Bill. We appreciate NSS News every month. Next, we have Florinda, WB5OZL, with recent astronomical discoveries. So I'll hand it over to you, Florinda, and look forward to what you have to bring us. WB5O.
Thank you, Virginia. This is WB5OZL. Tonight's article is entitled Astrophysicists Use Echoes of Light to Illuminate Black Holes. A team of astrophysicists led by scholars from the Institute for Advanced Study has developed an innovative technique to search for black hole light echoes. Their novel method, which will make it easier for the mass and the spin of black holes to be measured, represents a major step forward, since it operates independently of many of the other ways in which scientists have probed these parameters in the past. The research published today in the Astrophysical Journal Letters introduces a method that can provide direct evidence of photons circling black holes due to an effect known as gravitational lensing. Gravitational lensing occurs when light passes near a black hole and its path is bent by the black hole's strong gravitational field. The effect allows the light to make multiple paths from a source to an observer on Earth. Some light rays might follow a direct route, while others could loop around the black hole once or multiple times before reaching us. This means that light from the same source can arrive at different times, resulting in an echo. That light circles around black holes, causing echoes, has been theorized for years, but such echoes have not yet been measured, says the study's lead author, George M. Wong, Frank and Peggy Taplin, member of the Institute's School of Natural Resources and Associate Research Scholar at the Princeton Gravity Initiative at Princeton University. Our method offers a blueprint for making these measurements, which could potentially revolutionize our understanding of black hole physics. The technique allows the faint echo signatures to be isolated from the stronger direct light captured by well-known interferometric telescopes, such as the Event Horizon Telescope. Both Wong and one of his co-authors, Leah Medeiros, visitor at the Institute's School of Natural Sciences and NASA Einstein Fellow at Princeton University have worked extensively as part of the Event Horizon Telescope collaboration. To test their technique, Wong and Medeiros, working alongside James Stone, professor of the School of Natural Sciences, and Alejandro Cardenas Avendano, Feynman fellow at Los Alamos National Laboratory and former associate research scholar at Princeton University, ran high-resolution simulations which took, stand by, I must reset. Took thousands of snapshots of light traveling around a supermassive black hole akin to that of the center of the M87 galaxy, which is located around 55 million light years away from Earth. Using these simulations, the team demonstrated that their method could directly infer the echo delay period in the simulated data. They believed that their technique would be applicable to other black holes in addition to M87. This method will not only be able to confirm the when light orbiting a black hole has been measured, but also provide a new tool for measuring the black hole's fundamental properties, explains Medeiros. Understanding these properties is important. Black holes play a significant role in shaping the evolution of the universe, says Wong. Even though we often focus on how black holes pull things in, they also eject large amounts of energy into their surroundings. Play a role in the development of galaxies, affecting how, when, and where stars form, and helping to determine how the structure of the galaxy itself evolves. Knowing the distribution of black hole masses and spins, and how the distribution changes over time, greatly enhances our understanding of the universe. Measuring the mass or spin of a black hole is tricky. The nature of the accretion disk, namely the rotating structure of hot gas and other matter spiraling inward towards a black hole, can confuse the measurement. Wong notes that light echoes provide an independent measurement of the mass and spin, however, and having multiple measurements allows us to produce an estimate for those parameters that we can really believe in, states Medeiros. Detecting light echoes might also enable scientists to better test Albert Einstein's theory of gravity. Using this technique, we might find things that make us think, hey, this is weird, adds Medeiros. The analysis of such data could help us to verify whether black holes are indeed consistent with general relativity. The team's results suggest that it may be possible to detect echoes with a pair of telescopes, one on Earth and one in space, working together to perform what can be described as a very long baseline interferometry. Such an interferometric mission needs only to be modest, states Wong. Their technique provides a tractable, practical method to gather important, reliable information about black holes. And that's the end. This is from Science Daily. Back to net. This is WB5OZL.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Appreciate that. And also, I have to give props to Tony. Even though he's not here this evening, he has Echolink set up to where it sounds very seamless, and it's like you're just on the air. So, good job, Tony, and good job, Brenda. Thank you so much. And I'm going to break before my presentation to see if there are any more people wanting to check into Skynet. Any mode? Please come now with your call, your name, and your location. This is ND5S. So let's go on to my brief presentation for this evening. I found a couple of neat little stories that are hopefully both short but interesting, and they're both from, what's this thing? I want to make sure to credit them properly. Universe Today. The first one is about Arecibo, our favorite legacy radio telescope. This is from November 5th. It was written by Matt Williams. New report details what happened to the Arecibo Observatory. In 1963, the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, I'm adding that myself, became operational on the island of Puerto Rico, measuring 305 meters, or about 1,000 feet in diameter. Arecibo's spherical reflector dish was the largest radio telescope in the world at the time, a record it maintained until 2016 with the construction of the 500-meter aperture spherical telescope, otherwise known as FAST, in China. In December 2020, Arecibo's reflector dish collapsed after some of its support cables snapped, leading the National Science Foundation, or NSF, to decommission the observatory. Shortly thereafter, the NSF and the University of Central Florida launched investigations to determine what caused the collapse. After nearly 4 years, the Committee on Analysis of Causes of Failure and Collapse of the 305-meter telescope at the Arecibo Observatory released an official report that details their findings. According to the report, the collapse was due to weakened infrastructure caused by long-term zinc creep-induced failure in the telescope's cable socket and previous damage caused by Hurricane Maria. The massive dish was originally Arecibo Ionospheric Observatory and was intended for ionospheric research in addition to radio astronomy. The former task was part of the Advanced Research Projects Agency's, or ARPA, Defender program, which aimed to develop ballistic missile defenses. By 1967, the NSF took over the administration of Arecibo, henceforth making it a civilian facility dedicated to astronomy research. By 1971, NASA signed a memo of understanding to share the costs of maintaining and upgrading the facility. That's illustration. During its many years of service, the Arecibo Observatory accomplished some amazing feats. This included the first ever discovery of a binary pulsar in 1974, which led to the discovery team, Russell A. Holtz and Joseph H. Taylor, being awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1993. In 1985, the observatory discovered the binary asteroid 4337, Arecibo, in the outer regions of the main asteroid belt in 1992. Arecibo discovered the first exoplanets, 2 rocky bodies roughly 4 times the mass of Earth, around the pulsar PSR 1257 plus 12. This was followed by the discovery of the first repeating fast radio burst, FRB, in 2016. The observatory was also responsible for sending the famous Arecibo message, the most powerful unit to space, and humanity's first true attempt at messaging extraterrestrial intelligence, METs. This pictorial message, which was crafted by a group of Cornell University and Arecibo scientists, which included Frank Drake, creator of the Drake equation, famed science communicator and author Carl Sagan, Richard Isaacman, Linda May, and James C.G. Walker, was aimed at globular star cluster in 13. This is where I'll add a little aside of my own. The Arecibo telescope did also have the capability to transmit and has actually been used by ham radio operators to do EME contacts. Let's see. According to the committee report, the structural failure began in 2017 when Maria subjected the Arecibo telescope to winds of between 105 and 118 miles per hour, with the source of this uncertainty in wind speed discussed below. Based on a review of available records, the winds of Hurricane Maria subjected the Arecibo telescope cables to the highest structural stress they had ever endured since it opened in 1963. However, inspections conducted after the hurricane concluded that no significant damage had jeopardized the Arecibo telescope structural integrity. Repairs were nonetheless ordered, but the report identified several issues that caused these repairs to be delayed for years. Even so, the investigation indicated that due to this misdirection of repairs toward components and replacement of a main cable that ultimately never failed, these would not have prevented the observatory's collapse regardless. Moreover, in August and November of 2020, an auxiliary and main cable suffered a structural failure, which led to the NSF announcing that they would decommission the telescope through a controlled demolition to avoid a catastrophic collapse. They also stated that the other facilities in the observatory would remain operational, such as the Angel Ramos Foundation Visitor Center. Before that could occur, however, more support cables buckled on December 1st, 2020, causing the instrument platform to collapse into the dish. This collapse also removed the tops of the support towers and partially damaged some of the observatory's other buildings. Mercifully, no one was hurt. According to the report, the Arecibo telescope's cable filter socket had degraded considerably as indicated by the previous cable failures. They also explained that the collapse was triggered by hidden outer wire failures, which had already fractured due to shear stress from zinc creep, aka zinc decay, in the telescope's cable filter socket. This issue was not identified in the post-Maria inspection, leading to a lack of consideration of degradation mechanisms and an overestimation of the potential strength of the other cables. According to NSF statements issued in October 2022 and September 2023, the observatory will be remade into an education center known as Arecibo C3, focused on science, computing, and community. So while the observatory's long history of radio astronomy may have ended, it will carry on as a STEM research center, and its legacy will endure. And one more fun story from November 7th, 2024, also by Matt Williams. Japan launches the first wooden satellite to space. Space debris, which consists of pieces of spent rocket stages, satellites, and other objects launched into orbit since 1957, is a growing concern, according to the ESA Space Debris Office. There are roughly 40,500 objects in low Earth orbit that are larger than 10 centimeters in diameter. An additional 1.1 million objects measuring 1 to 10 centimeters in diameter, and 130 million objects that are 1 millimeter to 1 centimeter. The situation is projected to worsen as commercial space companies continue to deploy mega constellations of satellites for research, telecommunications, and broadband internet services. To address the situation, researchers at the University of Kyoto have developed the world's first wooden satellite. Electronic components of this small satellite, Lingosat, is manufactured from magnolia wood. According to a statement issued on Tuesday, November 5th, by the University of Kyoto's Human Spaceology Center, the wooden satellite was successfully launched into orbit atop a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This satellite, the first in a planned series, is designed to mitigate space debris and prevent what is known as Kessler syndrome. In 1978, NASA scientists Donald J. Kessler and Burton G. Corpellé proposed a scenario in which the density of objects in low Earth orbit would become high enough that collisions between objects would cause a cascade effect. This would lead to a vicious cycle in which collisions cause debris, which more debris, and so on. For decades, astronomers and space agencies have feared that we are approaching this point or will be shortly. By manufacturing satellites out of wood, the University of Coda scientists expect they will burn up when they re-enter Earth's atmosphere at the end of their service. This will prevent potentially harmful metal particles from being generated when a retired satellite returns to Earth. The small satellite measures just 10 centimeters, so it is a CubeSat, forming 4 inches on each side and weighs only 900 grams, making it one of the lightest satellites ever sent to space. Its name comes from the Latin word for wood, lingo, and CubeSat, a class of small satellites with a form factor of 10-centimeter cubes. Before launch, the science team installed the LingoSat in a special container prepared by the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA. According to a spokesman for Sumitomo Forestry, LingoSat's co-developer, the satellite will arrive at the ISS soon and will be released to outer space about a month later. Once the satellite reaches the ISS, it will dock via the Kibo Japanese experiment module. Before deployment, it will then spend the next 6 months in space, and data will be sent from the satellite to researchers who will monitor it for signs of strain. Ultimately, the goal is to determine if wooden satellites can withstand the extreme temperature and changes in conditions in space. A second satellite, LingoSat 2, is a double-unit CubeSat currently scheduled for launch in 2026. So, does anyone have any questions about either one of those articles? Please come now. Hey, all quiet out there in space this evening. Again, this is Virginia. My call sign is NC5F. I'm your net control for Skynet tonight. And now it's time for What's Up with Chaz, KF5JHK.
Good evening, everyone. This is Chaz once again, KF5JHA. We call this segment of Skynet What's Up because it's all about what's going on astronomically over the past couple of weeks and the next couple of weeks and beyond as well. That would be slide master, slide number 2. Slide number 3, please. We've talked about the prediction of the nova of the star T Corona Borealis, which may erupt anytime. It is currently at a brightness of around 10th magnitude, which is much, much too faint to be seen with just your 2 eyes. But when it does go nova, T Corona Borealis can become as bright as the North Star. Now, that's 2nd magnitude, and I can see the North Star with just my 2 eyes from my very light-polluted location in Mesquite. Slide master, slide number 4, please. This image was taken on Wednesday, November the 6th, with my ZWO C-Star. It's the sun, and of course the sunspot complexes on the sun. Some of them are so large that you can actually use your solar eclipse glasses to see them. That's all you need, just your solar eclipse glasses, and look up at the sun. The sun is near its 11-year solar maximum. When will it happen? Well, we'll know when it has happened once it's past the peak, but it's around the peak right now. Now, we talked about the solar cycle on past Skynet, and we'll probably talk about it again in the future. Slide master, slide number 5, please. Over the last month and a half or so, we've been talking about a comet, C2023A3T Atlas. And let's see now. The picture of the sun was taken by my ZWO C-Star. Well, this picture is taken by the ZWO C-Star as well. I took this picture of the comet on Wednesday, November 6th, while at Brookhaven campus of Dallas College. I was unable to spot the comet with binoculars, and I did not try to find it with a telescope. But the C-Star can pull it out. Yeah, even out of the light-polluted area that I was in at Brookhaven campus. It's amazing. Slide master, slide number 6, please. On November the 8th was the date of the first quarter moon. Oh, that was yesterday, wasn't it? So the current phase of the moon is a waxing gibbous. On November the 14th, the moon is at perigee, which is the point of the moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth at a distance of 360,109 kilometers. On November the 15th, the moon is full. On November the 22nd, the moon's phase is third quarter. On November the 26th, the moon will be at apogee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is furthest from the Earth at a distance of 405,314 kilometers. Slide master, slide number 7, please. If you're wondering what I'm talking about when I say slides, we have a video version of Skynet over on YouTube. If you want to get to that link, go to w5sc.org and click on the link for YouTube, and you can actually see what's going on as well. So let's see now, slide number 7 on November the 10th, in the twilight of the early evening sky, that's going to be tomorrow night. There's going to be a conjunction of Antares, the bright star, and Scorpius, and the planet Mercury. That'll be interesting. Probably need a pair of binoculars to pull up both of them, because there'll still be a little bit of a twilight going on. Slide master, slide number 8. Later in the evening of tomorrow night, you can look for the conjunction of the moon and the planet Saturn in the southwestern evening sky. Now, I was able to see them next to each other pretty easily tonight. They'll be closer together tomorrow night. Slide number 9, please. On November the 11th, a rare occultation of Neptune by the moon occurs. Yep, that's on Monday. At 7:32 and 31 seconds p.m. Central Standard Time, Neptune's disappearance happens when the moon occults it. And at 8:48 and 7 seconds, Neptune reappears. Now, those times are for the Brookhaven campus of Dallas College. The times will vary by a few minutes depending on where you live in the Metroplex. You will need a telescope to see Neptune. Not even binoculars can see this furthest of all the planets in the solar system. So a telescope would probably be required. Slide master, slide number 10, please. On the night of November the 11th and 12th, the peak of the northern toroid meteor shower could produce about a half a dozen meteors in an hour. Now, the best time to observe meteors is usually the hour before dawn, because that's the side of the Earth that's running into the debris. If you want to know more information about meteors and meteor showers, you can visit the International Meteor Organization at IMO.net or the American Meteor Society at AMSmeteors.org. Slide master, slide number 11. Now, just after midnight on November the 16th, look toward the moon in the eastern sky. The star cluster, the Pleiades, is right beside the moon at that time. And in fact, some of the Pleiades, the stars in the Pleiades, will be occulted by the moon. Now, a pair of binoculars will greatly enhance your view. If you're inside the city, you really do need your pair of binoculars to be able to see the Pleiades and the moon at the same time. Slide master, slide number 12, please. On November the 17th, the moon and the biggest planet, Jupiter. I just saw Jupiter just before Skynet over there rising in the eastern sky. So on the 17th, the moon and the big planet Jupiter will be in the conjunction in the western morning sky. But you'll see it pretty close together on November the 16th in the evening sky. Slide master, slide number 13. On the night of November 17th and 18th, it's the peak of the famous Leonid meteor shower, which could produce anywhere from 10 meteors per hour to over 400 meteors per hour. Now, we don't think it'll be in the storm category. That's what we call a meteor shower that has a lot of meteors in it. But we don't know how many there'll be this year. The best time, once again, to observe meteors is usually the hour before dawn, because that's the side of the Earth that's running into the debris. And once again, if you want more information about meteors and meteor showers, go to IMO.net or American Meteor Society at AMSmeteors.org. Slide master, slide number 14, please. For the 19th, the moon bright star Pollux, that's one of the bright stars in the constellation of Gemini, are in conjunction in the east-northeastern evening sky. And Slide Master, slide number 15, on November the 20th, the moon and the close by planet Mars are in conjunction in the east-northeastern evening sky. And this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 16. Okay, now do any of you out there in Radio Land have any questions? Or maybe you need a fill, or maybe you just have a general astronomy question. Come now with your call sign if you have a question or need a fill. Hearing nothing. Slide Master, slide number 17. So the moon waned about a week and a half ago, so do these words for this segment of Skynet. Stay safe, keep well, pray for a world that's the only one where humans live right now. Well, except the ones that are visiting like IMS or King Kong. Until next time, actually I'll be doing another segment on Skynet in a few minutes. Keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is KF5JHA sending it back to Virginia in 5F. Oh, wait, in V5F. Oh, wow. I'll get it right sometime, Virginia.
Okay, thank you, Chaz. I appreciate it. And yes, my call sign is a mouthful. As short as it is, it's a mouthful. Okay, and we have a couple more check-ins online. We have AA5AH, Robert in Richardson, and we have N50S, talk about a mouthful, Clay in Mesquite. So they have joined us. And are there any other check-ins on any mode for Skynet? Please come now with your call, your name, and your location. Okay, nothing heard for new check-ins, and now it is time for Brenda again with space exploration and space history. So take it away, Brenda.
Okay, this is WB5OZL. In space news, news of Starship 31, SpaceX has finally announced on its official website that the sixth flight of Starship 31 and Super Heavy Booster 13 is scheduled for November 18th at 4 p.m. Central. The necessary launch license has already been obtained, so stay tuned. X-59 fires up its engine for the first time on its way to takeoff. NASA's Quest mission marked a major milestone with the start of tests on the engine that will power the quiet supersonic X-59 experimental aircraft. These engine run tests, which began October 30th, allow the X-59 team to verify the aircraft's systems are working together while powered by its own engine. In previous tests, the X-59 used external sources for power. The engine run test set the stage for this next phase of the experimental aircraft's progress toward flight. The X-59 team is conducting the engine run tests in phases. In this first phase, the engine rotated at a relatively low speed without ignition to check for leaks and ensure all systems are communicating properly. The team then fueled the aircraft and began testing the engine at low power with the goal of verifying that it and other aircraft systems operate without anomalies or leaks while on engine power. Next, final Venus flyby for NASA's Parker Solar Probe Q's closest sun path. On Wednesday, November 6, 2024, NASA's Parker Solar Probe completed its final Venus gravity assist maneuver, passing within 233 miles of Venus' surface. The flyby will adjust Parker's trajectory into its final orbital configuration, bringing the spacecraft to within an unprecedented 3.86 million miles of the solar surface on December 24, 2024. It will be the closest any human-made object has been to the Sun. Parker's Venus flybys have become boons for the new Venus science, thanks to a chance discovery from its wide-field imager for Parker Solar Probe, or WHISPER. The instrument peers out from Parker and away from the Sun to see fine details in the solar wind. But on July 11, 2020, did Parker's third Venus flight.
Good evening. The time is 10 p.m.
During Parker's third Venus flyby, scientists turned WHISPER toward Venus in hopes of tracking changes in the planet's thick cloud cover. The images revealed a surprise. A portion of WHISPER's data, which captured visible and near-infrared, seemed to see all the way through the details to the Venetian surface below. Now we have a bunch. We have Jeanette Epps, November 3rd, 1970, flew on SpaceX Crew 8, Expedition 70, 71, and 72.
Time out.
1954, STS 49, 59, and 76. William H. Dana, November 3rd, 1930, X-15 Flight 174 and X-15 Flight 197. Charles Edward Jones, November 4th, 1952. He was to fly on canceled Space Shuttle mission STS-71B. He died on 9/11 as a passenger on Flight 11. Alan G. Poindexter, November 5th, 1961. Flew on SCS-122 and 131. Charles O. Hobaugh, November 5th, 1961. Missions were STS-104, 118, and 129. Alvin Drew, November 5th, 1962. STS-118 and 133. Robert J. Sinker, November 5th, 1948, flew on STS-61C. Margaret Rhea Senon, or Senon, November 8th, 1947. She flew on STS-51D, 40, and 58. Dale Gardner, November 8th, 1948, STS-8 and 51A. Richard E. Lawyer, November 8th, 1932, no flights. Edward Gibson, November 8th, 1936, flew on Skylab 4. Next up, this week in space history. November 8th, 2005, Europe launches its first mission to Venus. The spacecraft was called Venus Express. Venus is a hothouse planet. Lava flows on its surface and the atmospheric pressure can easily crush an unprotected spacecraft. Even from orbit, Venus... Stand by. Venus Express had to survive harsh radiation, but the spacecraft lasted for more than 9 years. During that time, Venus Express saw a weird vortex swirling around Venus's south pole. It also saw possible signs of active volcanoes. Venus Express also discovered that the planet generates its own auroras. These auroras happen when particles from the sun hit charged particles in the atmosphere. Late in the Venus Express mission, controllers told the spacecraft to dip down into Venus's clouds. Even though the spacecraft wasn't designed to do this, it performed well, but eventually it stopped listening to commands. The spacecraft burned up in the atmosphere in January 2015. And then, lastly, as Tycho Nova, SN 1572, it's Tycho Supernova or Tycho's Nova, or B Cassiopeia, BCAS, was a supernova of type 1A in the constellation Cassiopeia, one of 8 supernovae visible to the naked eye in historical records. It appeared in early November 1572 and was independently discovered by many individuals. Its supernova remnant has been observed optically, but was first dedicated at radio wavelengths. It is often known as 3C10, a radio source designation, although increasingly as Tycho's supernova remnant. The appearance of the Milky Way supernova of 1572 belongs among the most important observation events in the history of astronomy. The appearance of the new star helped to revive ancient models of the heavens and to speed on a revolution in astronomy that began with the realization of the need to produce better atmospheric star catalogs and thus the need for more precise astronomical observing instruments. It also challenged the Aristotelian dogma of the unchangeability of the realm of stars. That is all I have. I am going to turn it back to Ned. This is WB5OZL.
Okay, thanks very much, Brenda. We appreciate all of your hard work on space history this week. And if you were missing Chaz, good news, he's back with Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. Chaz, KF5JHA.
Thank you so much. I've annoyed Bob the cat so much that he actually wanted outside, so he's not beside the computer, which is a good thing, because sometimes he likes to sit on the computer while I'm trying to do Skynet. That's hard when I'm trying to read the script. Slide Master, slide number 18. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of Silent Key Carolyn, KC50ZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week, almost from its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019. A detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Now, since there's about 52 easily visible constellations seen in Texas throughout the year out of the 88 total number of constellations, so Ms. Carolyn covered the entire sky as seen over North Texas in a year. In her honor, we've continued that tradition of a constellation per week and named this segment after her. So, Ms. Carolyn's Constellation of the Week this week is Pegasus, the winged horse. Now let me refresh you with the myths surrounding Pegasus. Cepheus's wife, Cassiopeia, was a very vain woman. Some versions of the story say that Cassiopeia bragged that her daughter, Andromeda, was more beautiful than the sea nymph. So Poseidon sent the sea monster, Cetus, to ravage the coast. Cepheus turned to an oracle to find out how to prevent utter disaster, and the oracle told him the only way to appease Poseidon was to sacrifice his daughter Andromeda to the monster. Desperate, Cepheus and Cassiopeia did this by leaving their daughter chained to the rock for Cetus, the sea monster, to find. But luckily, a hero, Perseus, came flying in on a winged horse, Pegasus, and he found the princess, rescued her, and killed the sea monster. Later he married Andromeda, and of course they lived happily ever after. All of the 6 main characters in the story are constellations in the sky. They didn't have TV to watch football games or YouTube or, well, a lot of things, so they used the sky as their big screen TV. Slide Master, slide number 19, please. The jokes of the week. Know about this segment, you need to either boo or hiss. I won't be able to hear it, but you can also make comments if you're over there on Echolink about my jokes. I'll be glad to receive those comments about it. And they're usually, the jokes are usually related to the Constellation of the week, so here we go. Did you hear about the pony that was sick? Yep, he was a little horse. Get it? Ponies are little horses anyway. What do you call a horse that likes to stay up late? Well, that would be a nightmare. Why do cowboys like to ride horses? Because the horses are too heavy to carry. What kind of food do race horses like to eat? Well, of course, they like fast food. What do you call a horse that lives next door to you? That would be your neighbor. When does Mr. Ed the horse talk? When he feels like it. Oh, I like all these jokes this week. And this is KF5JHA and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 20, please. Globular cluster located about 4 degrees from the nose of Pegasus called Enos. M15 is believed to be about 30,000 light years in distance. It shines at about magnitude 6.3, which makes it bright enough for sharp-eyed folks in very dark skies to be able to see it with their unaided eye. So it can be seen in all astronomical instruments, from the smallest binoculars to the largest telescope. Walter Scott Houston, in his Deep Sky Wonders fame, wrote that one way to improve the chances of seeing it without optical aid is to look through a long cardboard tube painted black on the inside of the tube. This will cut down the often unappreciated flood of sky brightness and improve your your magnitude limit. Of course, M15 is an easy binocular object, and I've seen it in telescopes right at Brookhaven campus, which is very light polluted. It looks like a fuzzy star. Slide Master, slide number 21. NGC1 and NGC2 from Dave Hutchinson in his past spectrum article writes, many amateur astronomers know that M1 is the Crab Nebula. Yeah, we talked about that, didn't we? Fewer know that NGC1 is located. Where is it? Well, yes, along with NGC2, it's in Pegasus. Of the two galaxies, NGC1 is the brighter in magnification at 12.9. NGC2 is much dimmer at 14.2. These are really faint things to see. The two galaxies appear very close together in the sky, may be observed in the same field of view. Both of them are spiral galaxies. NGC2 is so dim that Dave Hutchinson writes that he had to use averted vision to see it, even with a 24-inch Lone Star Observatory telescope. Wow, I don't think I can see it with my 16-inch. Slide Master, slide number 22, please. NGC, which stands for New General Catalog, 7331, the spiral galaxy, 9.5 in magnitude. It's a nice spiral galaxy, and it's shown to be a beautiful object in photographs. It is viewed obliquely, tilted about 22 degrees from edge-on. Burnham's Celestial Handbook states that NGC 7331 is the galaxy whose photograph is often used in astronomy textbooks to illustrate the probable experience of our own Milky Way system, if seen from intergalactic space. Despite that fact that these days we know that the Milky Way's nucleus is a central bar, while NGC 7331 does not, Dave Hutchinson writes that in his spectrum article that NGC 7331 is still referred to as a twin galaxy for Milky Way by many scientists. NGC 7331 and its nearby companions are often called the Deerlick cluster group. Slide master, slide number 23, please. This is a faint group of galaxies, Stephan's Quintet, NGC 7317, NGC 7318A, 7318B, NGC 7319, and NGC 7320. Stephan's Quintet is a faint group of 5 galaxies that is difficult in smaller telescopes. Dave Hutchison notes that they're easy to see in the 24-inch Lone Star Observatory telescope. Stephen James Amira notes that radio telescope observations show that there may be some interaction between NGC 7331 and at least one member of the Stephan's Quintet. O'Meara also notes that Stephan's Quintet is also famous for something else in the heavenly body way. It's used in the opening sequence of the well-known 1946 film, It's a Wonderful Life. I guess we'll all probably watch that in about a month or so, won't we? And this is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. Slide master, slide number 24, please. Did I mention that our slide master that you can see the slide by YouTube, our slide master is actually Tom, KE5ICX. Thank you, Tom, for doing this. Slide master, slide number 24. There are a few more Astronomical League observing program objects in the constellation of Pegasus, the winged horse. I'm giving you just a sampling of some of those objects. Now, the Astronomical League has, at last count, 74 different observing programs. Now, most of them have about 100 objects. So, if you observe just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pen from the Astronomical League in about a year. And slide master, slide number 25, that is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. Pegasus, the winged horse. Maybe some of you will be seeing it in downtown Dallas if you're sometime there, yes, on top of a building. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell for the research and words on deep sky objects that I've used, borrowed, and I steal for every Skynet. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Now next week we'll take a look at a twofer, Sculptor, the Sculptor's Workshop, and Phoenix, a very special bird. And this is KF5JJ saying good night at 73, back to our net control. It's all yours in V5F. Virginia, it's yours.
Okay, thank you, Chad. And Phoenix is also really special to us fans in 2010. Okay, thanks so much. And next we will go to Tom, KE5ICX, for space launches for this week.
All right, thank you. This is KE5ICX. We do have a number of different launches this week. Starting on November 10th, that's tomorrow, there will be yet another Starlink launch, 6-69. This will be from SLC-40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Be another batch of Starlink V2 mini satellites into low Earth orbit. A little more than 8 minutes after liftoff, the first stage booster will land on the SpaceX drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. On November 11th will be a launch from Kennedy Space Center at Launch Complex 39A of the KryaSat 6A. This will be a Falcon 9 rocket that will launch the KryaSat 6A on behalf of KT-SAT Corporations Limited, a satellite provider of South Korea. According to the satellite manufacturer, Thales Alenia Space, KryaSat 6A will embark on a satellite-based augmentation system, or SBAS, payload to improve the continuity and availability of Korea Augmentation Satellite System, which is similar to the European Geostationary Navigation Overlay Service, or EGNOS. A little less than 8 minutes after liftoff, the first stage booster will return to Florida after a touchdown in landing zone 1 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Base. Then we have, in November, to be determined, the NG-1 launch of New Glenn. This is the Blue Origin New Glenn rocket, which will launch the company's Big Blue Ring spacecraft, which is capable of both hosting and deploying multiple payloads. The Blue Origin will attempt to land its first stage booster on the sea-based landing platform, Jacqueline. And by the way, this week that enormous booster was moved to its staging area by a special vehicle. There's some video over on YouTube about that. When you get a chance to see it, do indeed watch it. It's quite a wondrous thing. In spring 2025 will be New Glenn Escapade. This will be Launch Complex 36, Cape Canaveral. The New Glenn rocket will launch a pair of identical spacecraft on NASA's Escape and Plasma Acceleration and Dynamic Explorers, or Escapade mission. The two satellites, named Blue and Gold, will make a roughly 11-month journey to Mars, where they then perform about an 11-month science mission while orbiting the Red Planet. Blue and Gold were manufactured by Rocket Lab over about 3.5 years and carry science experiments in the University of California, Berkeley. This launch of the New Glenn rocket will feature a landing attempt on its landing barge in the Atlantic Ocean. And I mentioned this before, I will do so again, as Dream Chaser 1 is expected to launch from SLC-41 at Cape Canaveral sometime. We don't know when. It's been pushed back. A United Launch Alliance Vulcan Centaur rocket will launch on its second demonstration flight of Sierra's Dream Chaser cargo vehicle for the International Space Station. The Dream Chaser is a lifting body resupply spacecraft that will launch on top of a rocket and land on a runway. This would be Dream Chaser's first flight to space. The Vulcan Centaur rocket will fly in the VC-4L configuration with 4 GEM 63XL solid rocket boosters, a long-length payload fairing, and 2 RL-10 engines of the Centaur upper stage. And that's it for that. If you'd like, I can go ahead and do visible satellite passages if you'd like.
Yes, that would be super. Thank you, Tom. Go ahead with the satellite passages.
All right, thank you, Virginia. We have a couple, I limit to the ISS in Tiangong, so I'm going to go ahead and give you the ISS. So we've got struck gold with that. We've got November 10th, work tomorrow evening, minus 1.7 magnitude at 18:31 in the evening out of the south-southeast. Reach its highest point at 18:33 at 15 degrees out of the southeast. November 11th has a nice pass, minus 2.6 magnitude, 19:17 in the evening out of the southwest. Reaches its highest point at 42 degrees at 19:19, and it will fall into shadow at 19:19 at that 42 degrees. November 12th has a good pass, minus 3.4 magnitude, 18:27 in the evening, reaches its highest point at 18:30 in the southeast, and it'll fall to the east-northeast at 18:32. On November 13th, minus 2.0 magnitude at 19:14 in the evening out of the west, it reaches its highest point at 26 degrees in the northwest, and it'll fall to the northwest at 19:17:47. Then we have, let me see here, August 14th, it just goes from each day, minus 3.0 magnitude, 18:24 in the evening out of the west-southwest again, reaches its highest point at 18:27 and 48 degrees. It'll fall to the north-northeast at 18:30. Then we have on the 15th, minus 1.0 magnitude at 19:13. In the northwest, it'll reach its highest point at 19:14. That's only at 12 degrees in the north-northwest, but still visible. And then it'll fall to the north-northwest at 19:15. And finally, November 16th, minus 1.5 magnitude at 18:22. You guessed it, out of the west. It'll reach its highest point at 19 degrees at 18:24. And it'll fall to the north-northwest at 18:27. So in the evening, shortly after sunset, well, actually a little later after sunset, I guess we're kind of in regular standard time, you'll be treated to the International Space Station, going over about the same time every evening this week. Next up is Tiangong. I've only got one pass for you on that one. Now, Tiangong is the Chinese space station. There's 3 tachinauts in space right now. They will pass over twice on November 12th, but the best pass is the first one. This is minus 1.2 magnitude at 17:47 in the evening out of the west. It will reach its highest point at 1750, 41 degrees, and it will fall to the northeast at 1753. So with our 2 space stations, we've got a number of really great passes this week, so get out there and take a look if the skies are clear. That's it for me, Virginia. Back to you, KE5ICX.
Okay, thank you, Tom, and all you AMSAT satellite operators could get a contact to the space station on those evenings. So I need to go out and do that. All right, that's it for satellite passages. That's pretty much what we have. Is there anyone who would like to check in before we finish up, get to finishing up the Skynet? Please come now. Call sign, name, and location.
Kilo, Kilo 9, Zulu, Zulu, Kilo. This is Tim, way down in Fairfield, Texas, about 90 miles south of you.
Juliet Delta Whiskey Mobile, calling.
Okay, we have KK9 ZZK, Tim in Fairfield, and K5JDW in Colony. Remind me your name, please.
Sorry, John, K5JDW.
Okay, thank you, John. Good to get a last couple check-ins before we finish up. And let's see. We have just a couple minutes if there is any last possible Q&A for any of our astronomical experts like Chaz, or if you just have any final comments or any final check-ins, remarks, questions, this would be our 73 round. If you need any stills or anything, please come now.
Net control, can I make a comment?
Yes, what's your call?
This is KK9ZZK way down in Fairfield. I somehow came across your net tonight. It is by far the best net I have ever listened to. You've got stories, you've got jokes, you've got information. It's great. If you could just kindly tell me when do you hold these on Saturday night, I'd love to attend more. Over.
Okay, for the question, and we hold this net every Saturday night here on this repeater at 9 p.m. We go from 9 till 10:30, and we do all the features you've heard this evening.
Normal state.
Do those all every single week at Saturday night at 9 o'clock. It's called Skynet. So yes, feel free to join us each week, and we also have TechNet on this repeater on Saturday evenings at 7 from 7 to 8, and it's geared more towards ham radio technical talk. And then after this net at 10:30, we will have a net called Afterglow, where we talk about some usually cheesy science fiction movies. So Saturday night here is the night of nets on W5FC. So thank you very much for your question. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, 73 of you. Fantastic programming. Thank you. Back to you.
Okay, so three, thanks so much. And that will be it for us. Tonight we have had 22 hams check in on Skynet.
I'm completely operational and all my circuits are
Hope
functioning
you'll join us here next
Afterglow
week
movie
and
net.
every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all other DARC nets. If you would like to try your hand at this or any net, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to nets@w5sce.org. And my apologies to Hal 9000 for talking over his intro to Afterglow. You can click end discussions about the net and astronomy in general on Facebook and X, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to w5sce.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is NV5F Virginia, and I will be closing this net at, gosh, what time is it? 10:31 local time. And returning the repeater to normal amateur use 73. Everybody enjoy the evening of discovering the universe. Move from 1981. This is NV5F.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Virginia. Thank you for doing a great net. We'll be back to do the Afterglow movie net, Earthbound, from 1981, in about 5 minutes. Come back in 5 minutes. That's plenty of time to make popcorn and come back to talk about this fine film, KE5I6.
Okay, this is WB5OZL. I'm going to be net control tonight for the Afterglow movie net. And tonight's net is a new high. I don't think we've ever had a movie of quite this caliber before. It's called, so memorable, Earthbound. A very spacey comedy is what it claims. Oh, I didn't know it was... That's why it was so stupid. It's a comedy, right? Okay, we'll do the usual. I'll take check-in, and then we'll go down the list, and we'll talk about the lotless nature of this thing. And then second, the characterization and acting. And lastly, the wonderful special effects, art, music, or anything else you want to talk about. And I predicted this was going to go about 5 minutes because nobody has anything to say, but we'll see. All right. Please come now with your name, call sign, and whether you saw this movie.
Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas. I hope all the nets I missed tonight were great, but no, I have not seen the movie, and I don't intend to. I think I've been warned off.
This is in BB, November 5, Bravo, Bravo, Bill. Yes, I saw the movie.
Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, Tom in Corpus Christi. Yes, I saw this fine film.
Kilo, Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean Fort Worth. Yes, I did see this film.
November Victor 5 Foxtrot, this is Virginia in Fort Worth, and yes, I kind of saw it. I sort of fell asleep in the middle of it.
This is Whiskey 5, Bacon, Lettuce, Tomato, W5BLT Bill. Yes, I saw this fine film.
All right, we have NT5TM, Tony. He did not see it. N5BB, Bill, he did. KE5ICX, Tom, he did see it. KB9SOK, Sean, who did see it. NV5F, Virginia, did see it. And W5BLT, Bill, who did see it. All right, I'll take Echo Link now. So please come and check in. All right, hearing none, do we have any other check-ins? And let's get started. By the way, I am on Echo Lake, so there'll be occasional lags in my activity here. NT5 PM, Tony, you didn't see it, but do you have any comments about this movie?
Hey, Brenda, the things I saw on Facebook were extremely discouraging. Monkeys and spandex. Instead, and this is not a joke, I spent the afternoon and early evening meeting up with my long-lost sister's family. I went to a baby shower with relatives I didn't know I had, and I was just smiling the whole time, and it was totally awesome. And judging by what was on Facebook, the plot was far better than this. There were no spandex-clad monkeys at the baby shower. So I had a great day, but yeah, I feel really warned. I feel like a sense of dread. I don't think there's any chance I'm going to watch this, but hey, you could try to change my mind. NT5TM.
Well, okay, but it's not often you get to see Burl Ives in a movie and he doesn't sing, so that would be a plus. And I don't know why somebody says that's spandex. It's not. They just had sort of flimsy, floppy material. Spandex is stretchy, and by the way, it's trivia. They named it as the reverse of expanse. So now you know, with a drink or something with that information. But they had very cheesy costumes, I'll have to say that. Okay, N5BV, Bill, tell us what you thought about the plot, please.
BB. Sorry for the delay. I had to go refill my iced tea. Tony, the monkey was blue, and I guess maybe it was wearing a blue spandex suit rather than spray painting it blue or something. And the monkey had a behavior of eating light bulbs. And we know no more than that. We have no idea why, except he liked something in the light bulbs. This was evidently filmed in 16 millimeters, which means the quality is pretty bad, as a TV pilot. But it was not picked up by any of the networks. They didn't like it. So finally they released it to evidently very limited distribution in theaters. Very limited. And it had one well-known actor in it, and singer Burl Ives. If you lived in the 50s, the 60s, maybe the early 70s, you definitely knew who Burl Ives was. He was a folk singer. He kind of told a little bit of country music. He recorded a lot of music around Christmas time, and was a character actor in all kinds of different things. Kind of large guy with a fuzzy beard. Burl Ives. And the movie was saccharine, corny, silly, poorly written. If you like that kind of stuff, heartwarming in a bad sense of the term. Mainly silly. Involved aliens, family, of course, find a name for them. They called them the Robinson family, like the Swiss Family Robinson. Where have we heard that before, even in science fiction? And that just shows you the level of just minuscule writing, where they just picked something that seemed easy to do, rather than spending any money writing things. What could the aliens do? Well, by the way, they came in blue jumpsuits, which in 1981 was, well, that sounded like aliens, blue jumpsuits. They could have worked in the space program, or they could have been aliens. They wore blue jumpsuits. They spoke English. They looked like humans, but they were from some other star system, don't know where. And they could read minds, they could do telekinesis, they could become invisible, and, no understanding of how or why they could do these things. They just could. It's just silly. I mean, give you an idea. Business office where all his accounting stuff was. And he was in the middle of a fight involving takeover of his company. And guess what? He didn't want room. So of course it was all torn up. That shows you the level of it. By the way, did you know that alien dads can drive cars immediately when they don't have to be trained? They can drive cars. They can also talk to animals. Really, they can talk to animals. I tell you, it's just a silly movie. I'm glad it wasn't picked up. It would have been a very, very, very corny. N5BB, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. KE5ICX, Tom. I know you have wonderful things to say about this movie. What do you think of the plot?
Well, Brenda, I don't know what to say, except I had to remove all sharp objects from near me as I watched this thing. It was more than 90 minutes long. I think it was 100 minutes long, and it was just really slow-moving and terrible. Whoever did this was totally imagineless. I mean, they must have been locked in a room and watched Hallmark card movies for days to try and do this. Now, one thing I got to tell you is that apparently the company that produced this thing actually produced movies based on audience responses. They would do surveys to find out things that they wanted to see in a movie, and then they would put it in it. So apparently they found a bunch of Hallmark people who loved Hallmark movies and decided to respond to the surveys. And this is the movie they came up with, Earthbound. Now, there's several things about it that are really strange. First off, the whole story is because we didn't read a synopsis or anything, but briefly, all it is that there's some aliens that crash land on Earth in a lake bed somewhere, and they escape, and they're followed by the U.S. military as represented by only one guy, Joseph Campanella, hamming it up as Conrad. And then all of the other people act just like normal human beings on Earth that are really boring, that have a spaceship. And we know a few of those. But it just really boring dialogue and all that. But here's the thing that gets me. First off, we got Burl Ives. He's there, and he's standing there with the kid of the week. and the kid is an orphan. I mean, this even Hallmark doesn't do this until about halfway through the movie. Kill off the cast. The two people are already dead at the very beginning of the thing. We never get to meet them. It's the family members, and Burl's taking care of the kid. Now, what's strange, and what I noticed, I'm trying to figure out what's wrong, and I think I figured it out, is that once the aliens crash, Burl decides to go out with his shotgun and help out, and he brings the kid with him, and he's interacting with people, talking to them about what's going on, and take care of things, and don't get caught, and you don't want the aliens to attack you, and all the usual muckety-muck that you would hear. So Burl is doing this, but he's not looking at these people. He's kind of looking in a different direction, as though maybe, just maybe, they filmed all his parts without him there, without the other actors there. I swear that's what happened through at least the first half of this movie. Either he, was on some sort of heavy medications, which made him look like he was not really all there, or in fact he wasn't there at all, that they filmed his parts separately. Maybe he had to do a big folk convention or something, and so they had to do his scenes first before everybody else's. Not sure, but there you go. The aliens were all standard family types that you would expect on Earth. I mean, how come these people can't seem to fly a spacecraft, an interstellar spacecraft, but are dumber than a box of rocks when they do get here? I mean, they should be able to do everything. They should be able to take over the world and manipulate things, but they're dumb. They say things stupidly. They make mistakes with the English language. Even though they can speak English perfectly throughout the film, they just occasionally mispronounce something, and people look back in sort of a weird way. We have teenage kids that are the girls that are excited about the teenage boys at the pool, and stuff like that. And then there's games with the preteens, and we can throw shot puts, and the stupid thing with the shot put can be thrown a million miles away and all that. And another thing on that, by the way, is that all the aliens can do all sorts of incredible things to get out of scrapes. What's the point of this if they can get out of every situation? Every single situation. They can fly. They can turn invisible. They can do all of that, but they can't seem to learn English correctly, or those certain words that they need to know to get by. But Dad can drive a car. Bill mentioned that as well. Okay, I'm going to stop now, because this was really annoying in that way. That and the fact that it was boring me to death. Back to you, Brenda, KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. It is Tom, right? Next up, KB9SOK. Sean, what did you think of the plot of this fine film?
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Oh, man. I agree with everybody so far. This thing was pretty boring. It didn't make a lot of sense. As usual, I didn't try to read anything ahead of time, so I didn't realize this was supposed to have been a comedy, and I kind of got that partway through this. It seemed like they were trying to do this very dry, very, very generic jokes, and they just weren't coming off very well. This seemed like they were trying to be something either maybe like Alf, or maybe like Third Rock from the Sun, where once again, an alien trapped on our planet, and then hilarity follows, or even maybe a Mork and Mindy copy kind of thing. But it's just, the writing was just so bad on this, and the jokes were just so lame. I don't mind, sometimes if you want to call it, dad humor or whatever, corny jokes can be funny at times, but these just weren't they weren't landing. They just weren't really that funny. And I think they focused, or tried to focus so much on that there really wasn't much of a story here. I mean, it was obvious this was meant to be a pilot, because if this had been a normal movie, the aliens probably would have escaped at the end. But of course, they had to have a reason to stay on Earth so they could continue the show. And as somebody already said, it's a good thing that they didn't, because this thing would have flopped pretty hard. And that's, yeah, it was just, I wonder what was going on there at the beginning with the old guy. That's a good point, Tom. That he was acting weird and looking weird, and I just didn't know that was part of the part. But yeah, you might be right. I never thought about it. Maybe people actually weren't there when he filmed this part. So that might explain some of that weirdness at the beginning. Yeah, more than anything, the thing was just kind of boring. And the plot, there was no focus on it. These were supposed to be supposedly, the husband and wife aliens were supposed to be scientists, but yet they didn't act like scientists. Supposedly they watched our television. That's how they learned English and how they learned how to drive a car and all of that. But yet, when they were asked every question about how can you do this, how can you do that, and they basically said, we have no clue how that works. But yet they're supposed to be scientists. So yeah, there's just a lot of flaws in this, and I guess we could talk about the characters, how bad they are when we get to that round, but just not a good plot. It really is what this thing boiled down to. Just some really poor writing, and yeah, it did drag on too long. So before I drag on too long, I'm sending it back to that. KB9SOK.
Good evening. The time is 11 p.m.
Thank you, Sean. NV5F, Virginia. What do you think about the plot?
Thanks, Brenda. Well, let's see. The plot of this was very tropey, very predictable. Sean said something like Alf or like Third Rock from the Sun, but this did precede those, so I think it was more like he said, maybe a rip-off of, maybe like Mork and Mindy meets Close Encounters or something, because it tried to have that mysterious Spielberg-y feel, at the beginning, with all the people in the little town in California freaking out because and the guys in the government tracking this flying saucer, and the townsfolk kind of wigging out, and then this little boy and the grandfather, which, starting that plot with their parents already dead, that's a pretty common thing too, where you meet the young troubled kid who needs a little light in his life, and then these magical aliens come along, and it was kind of different, I guess, to have it be a whole family of aliens. But to call them the Robinsons was so, ripping off Lost in Space, even though it was kind of the reverse thing. They were lost on Earth instead of being lost in space. The attempts at humor were not great, because there just wasn't a basic sort of, premise set forth, or a basic, set of what's our basis for our suspension of disbelief and even humor here. So the humor was, and then the drama wasn't really great either. I kind of crashed and took a little power nap right in the middle of this movie and missed, I think, what would have been the most important stuff in the plot. There was something about a hotel and people wanting to buy it, and I don't know. And, there were some silly things that were supposed to be heartwarming, and I could tell that it was a TV pilot, especially by the end, when it was like, oh, we're setting them up. They live at this hotel with this kid and his grandpa, and, they look just like humans, and they speak perfect English, but they're just a little bit off, and, how is that gonna make for humor and some drama and some plot things? And I mean, you know, it's 1981 here, but we think of decades as being discrete, but it's really like a late 70s show, which a lot of shows in the early, you know, the first 3 or 4 years of the 80s were, you know, really 70s shows. So the clothes and those ridiculous blue jumpsuits and the stupid chimpanzee painted green, and, you know, it was all very like, you know, BJ and the Bear meets, you know, Mork and Mindy meets something really corny. And I thought it was, it's very typical of the times, you know, people, heartwarming TV was a big thing back then, and if, I don't remember ever seeing this, but I think if I had, I probably would have, and if they'd made a show out of it, I probably would have watched it, because I was, you know, pretty young back then, and I probably would have watched it and remembered it fondly. No big, real intense anything here. Just a little bit of conflict. We've got to hide these aliens, even though they keep doing things in front of people that they shouldn't be doing. Even they seem to know, they seem to be smart enough to fly across the galaxy, but they don't know better than to not do something really obviously, you know, impossible. So, you know, plot was basic, easy to understand, not very conflict laden. Whatever conflict was there was not very high. It was mostly just to set a mood for a show that would probably have more pathos and conflict going forward. But I think the whole point of it was to just set a scene for what could have maybe been some future, you know. And this week on a very special episode of Earthbound, that kind of thing. So anyway, good attempt, tropey, not very memorable or very funny or hard-hitting, and overall filming quality not great. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Virginia. Next, W5BLT. Bill, what did you think of the plot?
Well, I was just going to say, you know, being a blind guy, I'm trying to imagine monkeys in spandex. But, anyway, yeah, I kept thinking they should have just put this around a holiday time and made it a Christmas special and made it just an hour long. I don't know. Interesting that you bring up BJ and the Bear, because I watched that religiously as a kid. I loved that show, and I wanted to be a truck driver, and I wanted a chimpanzee. And my parents told me no on the chimpanzee, and then I figured out I was blind and truck driving was going to be out of the question. So, anyway, yeah, it was a simple plot, and, you know, kind of easy plot to follow, but it probably could have just been an hour long, and I think that would have been okay. The one thing with the shot put kind of reminded me of the Battlestar Galactica, if anybody remembers the Starluck, where I think that was her name. She threw the ball. You know, they had that baseball thing. The people from Battlestar Galactica got to Earth, and I'm talking about Battlestar Galactica because there's not much to say on this movie. Anyway, yeah, it was just an interesting thing. I don't know if I didn't obviously catch the visual thing, and that I appreciate the visual on Pearl Lives looking in a different direction. And obviously I missed that because the dialogue wouldn't have given that, but yeah, maybe he wasn't there, or they weren't there when he was doing the filming. It's kind of odd. So yeah, it was just an odd movie. I don't know if it's the worst thing we've ever watched, but it's definitely not the best. W5BLT, back to net control.
Thank you, Bill. Do we have any more check-ins? Alright, I'll put in my nickel first. Yeah, it's not uncommon to shoot around an actor's other schedule, especially if you got first billing, and it's entirely possible he slipped in to do a bunch of filming, after a lot of it was already done. I would see this as a children's movie, and probably would not have interested me at any age. Dumb. This family, I guess, I never could catch whether they were joyriding. They couldn't have been a scientific expedition, and it would have been all adults, because they had kids. And so it makes me think it's just maybe a vacation or family outing. But you lose a little piece of your spaceship, and you're just stranded. You don't have any redundancy, or you don't have anybody you can call that'll bring you more. The idea of they're just stuck there for the rest of their lives seems ridiculous. I hope we ever operate our spacecraft that way when we go to other planets. But they did, but that was the setup. You had to have contrivance to make sure they had to stay. Otherwise, there's no series if they could get back home. Oh man, I don't know. It was just dumb. I fell asleep. It did not hold my interest. I would not watch it again. Alright, next up we're going to talk about characterization and acting. So, we'll go back to Bill. Well, Tony, NT5PM, even though you didn't see it, do you have anything to comment about?
Well, thank you very much for thinking of me. I really enjoyed hearing people trash this movie. I feel completely relieved I didn't see it myself. As far as characters, all I can say is the monkeys must have been miserable. I don't care if they were in costume or painted. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter what kind of mammal it is. I don't want you to drag me into a bad movie and make me wear a costume, and I don't want you to drag me into a bad movie and make me wear a coat of paint. I don't care. So, poor monkeys. MP5PM.
Yeah, to clarify, it was just one monkey, and I think it was a chimpanzee that they painted green, which was kind of despicable. And it ate light bulbs. Ha ha ha. That's really funny. So, it's just pandering to a little bit of the silliness. They probably sat around the table and thought, oh, how can we make this funny? Let's bring a chimp in. Okay, next up, Bill, N5BB. What do you think of the characters?
Well, thank you again, Brenda. This is N5BB. By the way, the first part of the movie, they were in Earl Ives' motorhome, which was a big new deal back in about this time. So gave it more of a kind of a homely family feeling. And somebody commented, was it Virginia, that it looked like it was from the late 70s. It was from the late 70s. I believe it was supposed to be released in about 1979 originally when it was created. But because it wasn't picked up with the networks, it took a couple of years before they could finally get it on minimal release as a movie. So yes, it really was from the late 70s. Characterization. Well, the all kinds of things on TV, Peyton Place. He kind of looks similar to Ryan O'Neal. And who was also in that, or in the original production. Anyway, he had a very raspy voice. Guess why? Heavy smoker. He died at age 47 of lung cancer. So it's a little bit distracting to me because he's sometimes hard to understand. His voice is very rough. And they don't show him smoking, but man, you could tell he had done a lot of smoking. He was a weird character. He was a little bit, I don't know what I want to do. He wasn't really very much in charge. He kind of wandered through the plot, if that makes any sense. You know, you'd think he and his wife would be in tight charge of the family, they'd have a plan and everything. Well, not really. They kind of bungled through things. Another little characterization thing, we learned about the alien dad. His father was killed in a space shuttle accident. They use that term space shuttle, even though, of course, there wasn't a NASA space shuttle in '81, but they were working on it. So that was a little goofy that they used the term space shuttle in this. An alien space shuttle. And then we have to talk about all of these kinds of movies where the sheriff is trying to find them. It's the bungling deputies, the sheriff and the bungling deputies. You know, this is like all the other movies you've ever seen like this.
9, 0.
So the sheriff was things on TV back then in movies, and his deputy was just a real stupid guy. That's the best way of describing it. Just completely stupid. And then they had to have some other bungling comic characters. So at this school, there was an athletic field that's where the shot put thing was, where they put the shot put across the field, you know, because, well, of course, the aliens are super strong. But there's this old guy who is like a maintenance worker or something there at the school. And guess who it is? It's Doodles Weaver. If you don't know who Doodles Weaver is, look up this guy's picture. Look at a goofy character. He looks kind of goofy. His mom nicknamed him Doodlebug or something because of his ears or something. By the way, he is the uncle of Sigourney Weaver. And Doodle's brother is Pat Weaver, who was a big NBC executive starting back in the early 50s. TV executive. Not related to Dennis Weaver. Totally different family. So nope, not related to Dennis Weaver. This is Pat, his brother Doodles, and Sigourney, Pat's daughter. Anyway, so it seemed to me like this is Inside BB. The general plot of this seemed to be a copy of My Favorite Martian with the Swiss Robinson family thrown in instead of Ray Walston. Yep, that's right. So what happened? My Favorite Martian, he could do kind of weird things and get himself out of trouble with these weird things he could do, just like these people. It seemed like the same basic plot. I guess that's it. That's all I can come up with. The characters just kind of bumbled through their things. There was no fine acting because there was no fine plot, because there was no fine writing in 5BB back in that.
Thank you, Bill. KE5ICX, Tom, tell us about characterization.
Oh, thank you, Brenda. What can I say? Well, Bill made some comments, and he touched upon a couple of things that I wanted to mention too. And then from the previous round, adding in and realizing that this is done by committee, and that we go and we get a bunch of people who watch movies rather than make them, helping to make decisions about what they want to see. By committee, we all know that ends up with some pretty bad stuff. So, with what was said about some of the ideas, we have the Mork and Mindy characters, which is essentially all of the space family, right? They're there and supposed to be funny, but it's not. We have the, what do we call it? The fish out of water story with the kids, which is sort of Galactica 1980, which came out about that same time. Maybe around that. I don't know if it was exactly at the same time or not. Maybe this was preceded. I don't know. It was a bad idea. We have BJ and the Bear. That was definitely 1970s stuff. And we've got the cute little animals. So yes, why not, right? And then, as Bill mentioned, I put it down as the fourth thing, My Favorite Martian with Uncle Martin. And that's played by several of the characters, of course. Unfunnily, too. Is that a word? Unfunnily? Not funny? Unfunnily. I'm going to make that a word. Unfunnily. Now, to specific characters, we had, interestingly enough, we had several actors that were supposedly good actors back then. I don't know about Burl Ives, although I think he was nominated for an Academy Award for, I think, Big Country. So he could kind of play Burl Ives without a banjo, and that would require him not to sing. Joseph Campanella, of all people, who played that really bad character of Conrad, he appeared in The Bold Ones as, I think, a lawyer or something. It's been so long since I've seen the series, but generally they had a pretty good, not necessarily super A-liner, but A-list actors that would appear in that show on that rotating series. So he was pretty good at one time, but not very good in this. Anne Lockhart appeared in Battlestar Galactica, if I remember correctly. I could double-check that. She played Mom. And then, of all people, John Schuck, who played a comedy relief on, if I remember, Macmillan and Wife, but he had some substantial stuff, and he had done some serious roles prior to this as well. But because he had done the Macmillan and Wife, I'm sure that they decided to give him Macmillan and Wife kind of funny stuff, which wasn't. And I would say just about everybody else was just kind of just playing tropey characters, as Virginia said. Very, very predictable stuff that we've seen in the past, which goes to prove to you and to me that 1980, 1981 had some of the worst, most terrible television ever made. And this is the worst of the worst because it didn't even get picked up. And from what I read somewhere, NBC, which was really terrible at the time, and by the way, NBC is still terrible, even 110 years later, they can't seem to know how to, even they said that this was not going to fly on their network, and we know only 3 or 4 people watch that network, and I think one of them died recently. I think they're buried on that Utah mountain with the 2 parents after the auto accident. Why couldn't it have been a chemical spill or something? Wouldn't that have been cool? Okay, back to net control, KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, KB9SOK, Sean, what do you think of the characters?
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. To be honest, I don't have a lot to add. I think it's pretty well uncovered. They were pretty, your typical tropes. We had the bumbling army and the bumbling police department, which seems to happen a lot in these TV shows. We had a little bit, of course, and I'm sure that we would continue that if it turned into a TV series. I'm sure the one government guy would have kept coming after them, and then they would have just missed them because of their magical powers, or just would have outsmarted him. We would have that kind of that A-team feel, or maybe a Dukes of Hazzard feel because these cops were idiots. I know all those shows were after this show, but so yeah, I guess maybe this was the precursor, and they worked on it later. Yeah, unfortunately, maybe early 80s wasn't the best shows. Literally some better shows in the later 80s that were, some that were campy, but they were enjoyable. This was definitely not one of those. Every time the old guy spoke, I kept expecting, the Christmas special to kick off and see Rudolph or something. Because his voice just reminds me of that show. But yeah, no, there's definitely a couple of well-known actors in this, but yeah, they didn't do their best work here. A lot of it's probably just due with the poor writing. Maybe the monkey gets the award for the best actor on this one. So yeah, not a whole lot to add to this, because yeah, everybody pretty well said it. So back to that, KB9SOK.
All right, next, Virginia in November Victor 5 Foxtrot. Your thoughts?
Well, I can't add too much more. The actors were, pretty decent actors that didn't have a whole lot to work with, and I found them all pleasant and likable. I mean, nobody was just totally annoying. There were things like the goofy cops and the goofy military guys and all that tropey characters. Like I said, probably pretty decent actors, just didn't have a whole lot to work with. The acting back then had a definite certain feel to it, especially in television. There wasn't a lot expected out of TV actors. TV and movies were, there was a much bigger gap between them back then. The budgets were way smaller, the actors were way cheesier, the hair was definitely a lot bigger. The clothes were dorkier, everything was kind of a very wooden delivery, and cheesy jokes just kind of read off of almost like they're read for a elementary school play. Burl Ives, like I said before, he's very likable, and he's a good actor. I think he's pretty good if he's got something to do, and he's quite lovable. I've always just liked him. I mean, and I think they tried to set everybody up to be likable, fish out of water kind of a situation, but have it with the whole family and then their goofy pet. And I'm kind of glad this didn't get made into a show, so that poor chimpanzee didn't, have to get painted green every week, because he probably would have gotten hacked off and bit somebody's face off or something. So probably saved us some tragedies. And it was a fine one-off, but yeah, not very interesting overall. Pretty easy to figure out. And that's all I have to say about that in V5S.
BLT. Bill, what do you think of the characters?
Well, my vote goes for the chimpanzee. And, I thought it was interesting because the girls were talking, and they mentioned something about wanting to get asked to go to the disco, I believe. And so that would explain, because I thought in 81, I didn't think people went to discos. Maybe I thought that craze had died out, but maybe I'm wrong. But it being done in the late 70s, that would explain that comment. I don't have a lot to add on characters. I mean, everybody's kind of said it. I just kept waiting for Christmas music to break out as well. I think this should be shown right up there with the Star Wars Holiday Special, right after Thanksgiving. So, just thought I'd throw that out. I won't probably have anything for the third round. Not sure that I have anything else to add on this one. Anyway, back to you, Brenda. Thanks for doing the net tonight as well. W5PLT.
All right, do we have any additional check-ins now? We're talking about the movie Earthbound. All right, I guess it's my turn. Burl Ives was nominated, and he won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for Big Country. I haven't seen it, don't really know anything about it. Apparently he had some serious roles back in the day, and looking at the images, he was actually a nice-looking guy when he was young, weren't we all? So, long and distinguished career. I certainly remember him as a child, but mostly from Christmas songs. And that's about all I ever knew about him, but he was very prolific in making Christmas music. To me, everybody else was kind of forgettable, or I never heard of them. So, and that's typical of these cheap movies. Well, I just don't have too much else to say. So much has been said already. I don't have anything to add. So, we're going to do a third round. Just tell me if you want to talk about anything. And then didn't have to be special effects. Could be anything you want. So, please come down.
KE5ICX.
Inside BB.
Well, okay, we have two takers. I have Virginia in B5F. Go ahead and tell us what's your final thoughts.
Okay, thanks, Brenda. Well, let's see. Really cheesy special effects, but that was about par for the course on TV at that time. And music that was very boring and almost sounded stock, but that was how they recorded music back then. It was like music from a Saturday morning cartoon, but TV music was like that. So anyway, I said those things because I think at least somebody should say something in the third round, and so that's what I will say in B5F.
go ahead.
Yes, this is N5BB. Well, yeah, the special effects, most of them were kind of like, remember $6 Million Man? I mean, they were just, these crazy things. And of course, they did special effects like the aliens could become invisible, just by willing it. And a little bit of them forcing people to say things they didn't want to say. It's like a lot of these other movies. There's no reason they can do all these wild and crazy things. It's just they thought they were funny, so they made them do those things. And by the way, somebody mentioned disco. Disco was at the end of its, it was in mainstream and kind of in the end of its run there in the late 70s, early 80s. Turned into some other electronic music. But, yeah, disco was still around when this movie was made, definitely. And the only special effect that kind of worked was the spacecraft, which of course was a flying saucer. What else could it be? And they had a special effect of showing it underwater when they were moving it down into a... Earl Oz had the crazy theory that this lake was volcanic, and in the middle of it, it went down to an incredibly deep level. So he had the idea of them to move the spacecraft down, the flying saucer down into that deep hole so that the humans on the surface couldn't find it. And so the way that was filmed was kind of murky in water. It looked okay. By the way, they had some shots inside the spacecraft. It's like all these spacecraft. It looks huge inside. It was like a TARDIS. Maybe not huge on the outside, but once you get in it, wow, it's roomy. Which is goofy. Anyway, real spacecraft are very cramped. I think that's all I can pull out of this. It's dying on the vine. N5BB.
Alright, I am finished. It says here that this was a 2-week production, and the script was finished, was lacking, the film was rushed, and they filmed in 16 millimeter. So obviously nobody cared much about this. It was just slapdash, and get it over and done with as cheap as they can, and it shows. All right, does anybody have any more comments?
KE5ICX.
KE5ICX, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda. By the way, thank you for taking the net this evening. Yeah, it brought to mind, and again, Bill's comments, I think, brought it to mind. There were a couple of television shows that were on daytime, or I should say Saturday shows, Saturday morning shows, I guess, that this would fit in. One I think was called Space Academy. The other one was Arc 2 with this futuristic thing with spacey stuff. Space Academy, I think, had, and I'm going by memory on this stuff. I'm not entirely sure if these were accurate or not, but it was kind of a Star Trek-ish thing, and had Jonathan Harris, who played Dr. Smith on Lost in Space, was in Space Academy. There was another show, post-apocalyptic thing called Arc 2, with kids going around trying to unite mankind or something. That in this bus thing that they had created. Both of those were very, very, very low production, but it set this low bar that this movie probably followed. Very cheesy in all aspects, and I think they felt that if those were successful, even moderately so, that they could make this thing work. It could also have been played off as a kids show on Saturday morning television. That's entirely possible with a budget that this thing did not have. They could probably afford to do it. So I think those things all played into it. I don't remember if there's anything else. I guess that's it. That's all I had. Just it could be cheesy and inexpensive and then run on children's television on Saturday mornings. Back to you, Brenda, KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. Do you have anything on next week's movie yet?
Yeah, give me a second, bring it up, and I'll let you know.
Well, your signal is pretty distorted, so I didn't hear that. I guess everybody else did, but does anybody have anything else before we close the net?
All right, Brenda, I have next week's info right here. This should be just about as good as you can imagine from KE5ICX.
And are you going to share it with us?
Yeah, this is interesting. It's called Case 347, and I don't have a date on it. It says it follows a psychologist, and a UFO skeptic, Dr. Mia Jansen, and a team of documentary filmmakers who believe that alien abduction claims are a form of mass hysteria. This is their footage, and it is a movie, not a documentary. Oh boy, Case 347 for next week. KE5ICX.
Sounds like another winner. I cannot wait. All right, I guess we're done. I'm going to close down the net. This is WB5OZL Clear. Thanks, everybody.